Okay, good morning. So stand up if you know what does it mean FSDN. Nobody standing up. Come on. No, it's just to keep the blood flowing, you know. Okay, so good morning. That's the content of my presentation. It's a framing presentation, so I apologize already for all the liaison agencies and the FADN, FSDN experts which are in the room because they know everything. We are working on it already for 2 years or so. But okay, the others will learn something, I hope. So then we will go through a short introduction on the political context. I will explain what is FADN, then what is FSDN, what we are doing for the translation, and what we foresee for the way forward. So why we call you here today? Because basically we would like to put together communities. So we have the community of the liaison agencies, meaning the bodies in the member state that are managing the network, FADN, transitioning to FSDN, and want them to speak very loudly with the CAP managers. So mostly people working on monitoring, on evaluation. We want the data collectors in the room. That's very important. We want farmers' organization, advisors, and also researchers. So today, all these people, all these communities are in the room, and I think it's very good because it's really a first occasion where we try to put together these communities. So then we want to inform on the transition and to showcase some good practices, so then you will see the presentations that will be later. So where we are in the political context, you know, we had the strategic dialogue starting is a discussion between stakeholders, so not with the Commission, but between stakeholders themselves. It started in January last year and finished in September. It was published. Then we had a new Commission, and the Commission priorities, the vision is ongoing, is in preparation, so it's almost finalized. And there is a strong accent on sustainability. So then FSDN is really into it. You see, farm sustainability data network. So how do we want to do it? An important point that has been included in the strategic dialogue is the benchmarking. So the benchmarking is an initiative that again is in preparation, is on building. About a EU-wide benchmarking system, which will include the labeling, certification, feedback to farmers, is something a bit broad. So seems that in FSDN we were already looking forward because we had the concept of benchmarking included in the Basic Act. You know, we had a new Basic Act on the transition, and the concept of advice and benchmarking was already there. So then there is an explicit reference to FSDN in the strategic dialogue. And this really to assess sustainability, to test data collection and methods for farmers, and also to maybe in the future to develop a more thorough product level assessment. So where we are on FADN, FADN is a sample. It includes 80,000 farms. It is there already for 60 years. So you will see, we will inform also on a conference we are going to prepare by the end of the year. It represents 3.7 million farms, so it's based on a threshold that is adopted by member state and is targeted to market-oriented farms, so above a certain threshold. Is representative for region, economic size, and farming type, so those are the 3 dimensions of the typology. Is based on a voluntary participation, and represent around 90% of the production and most of the UA in the EU. Okay, that's the same, but with special effects. And important, we have an annual budget of around 50 million a year for the moment. But you will see that in FSDN this change a bit in terms of resources. So what we do now, we use FADN to basically measure the economic performance. So it's an economic and accountancy network and survey. And is basically for the calculation of farm income to be used for the impact of the CAP and to have analysis on the outcome of the CAP. There is already a dimension of feedback and benchmarking, but it has been boosted in FSDN. So what we will do in FSDN, first is kind of reborn. So the concept of FSDN was included already in the farm to fork strategy. You see the FSDN was born in 1965, now is a mature network, and evidently it has a need to be revamped. So that's why also we did this transition, and now it's kind of reborn in 2023 when we publish the Basic Act. So what are the objectives of the conversion? To have a better role for policy analysis, research, and evaluation and policy making. To add, the most evident thing is to add the variables on the environmental and social dimension. To introduce modern data collection systems basically based on data sharing. So that's a very important point, that data sharing is included in the regulation. And also, again, the benchmarking and sustainability. So what are the key achievements? After the discussion on the Basic Act and on the secondary legislation, we have the voluntary participation maintained, but the member states are developing incentive plans, meaning that they are putting in place a strategy to ensure that the farmers will continue to participate. From the 13 original tables, now we have 42 topics that cover the 3 dimensions of sustainability. Again, the issue of data sharing, so applying the principle, collect data once and reuse it multiple times. And then, as I was saying, now we have also a big financial contribution that the member state receive for a one-off contribution by the end of last year, and are putting in place the transition to really set up the new system. So that's very important because the Commission invested a lot on this revamping of the network. This is just a glance on the topics that have been included. So the one you see in gray are the ones that were already there from the economic side, and the other in white are the one that has been added in the basic regulation. So you see that is mostly on the environmental side, but there are also important social topics, especially on labor and working conditions, and some new economic topics as well. So what is the timeline of the conversion? Starting from the farm to fork strategy in 23, we finalized the discussion on the Basic Act. Then we had an intense year of discussion on the 2 secondary legislation, so the implementing and delegated regulation that has been finalized, the implementing act in September. And now we are, you see, in the beginning of 25, we are building the guidelines, so we are in the implementation phase. And then we will have the first results in 27, and we'll have a concept of a phasing-in period. So the phasing-in period basically is a way to let a liaison agency to adapt to the new system and have a gradual implementation. So in the end of the discussion on the implementing regulation, we divided 2 milestones in 25 and 27. So roughly half of the topics will be collected in 25 and the rest in 27. Then, as normally, the data are available 2 years later. There is also additional flexibility, so the member state decided also to have some derogation on some topics to have more time to adapt to the implementation of the network. And then, important, we also have a revision clause by September 27, where we can revise the topics, the variables, so that's important to adapt on the new system. So about data sharing is based on 2 levels. At member state, it is basically to get data from other sources, which are not the standard data collection, and include it in the data flow. So the new variables will be collected more easily, hopefully. And at EU level is more to improve analysis potential. So to link 2 other sources that are already available at EU level, meaning the database for monitoring and evaluation. So intervention and beneficiaries is an individual data set for the CAP plans application. and the IX data sharing, which is sharing of geographical information based on the INSPIRE directive. The key point is that identifying the same holding in these three datasets will be possible to improve the analysis at farm level. That's a very important point. So what are the challenges that we learn after these 2 years of discussion? Basically, that there is a very different system across the member state. The farmers' participation is a very important point. So in the panel later, we will talk about it, because if the farmer doesn't participate, basically we don't have data and we don't have the network. So that will be an important part of the discussion. And we are trying to limit the data collection effort at 10-11 using, again, data sharing. And the very important point is to safeguard the farmer's condition of confidentiality. So this was also very prominent in the discussion on the Basic Act, to ensure that the farmers trust the liaison agency, the commission, and give the data willingly. Then there is a clear need to improve cooperation, and that's why we are here today. So the first point is to improve cooperation between farmers and data collectors. This is really a trust issue, that the farmers are willing to give their data if they trust the data collector that comes in the farm and they have a good relationship with them. So that's a very important point. But then also to have a better networking and relationship between the liaison agency, the statistical institute, the paying agency, which are mostly giving data at any level, and of course the CAP managers, which are here in the room today. So then another important point that we found, especially in the end of the negotiation on the implementing regulation, is to explain what we would do with the information that we collect. So we prepare some what we call analysis document that now has been building on guidelines to give indications on the analysis we want to do. For instance, an important point is to have analysis at farm level on emissions. So that's something on which we are working at the moment. So what are the positive outcomes expected? I think after the discussion on the implementing regulation, we had really streamlined definitions, which are really taking in account the context of the statistical information, an enhanced analysis, and then again to build trust and create a relationship in the network, the resources, and then for farmers, basically what is in for them is really to get feedback on their own farm performance and adapt so to have a better efficiency. Of course, FSDN is very important also for researchers, so it's one of the few data collection that is available for researchers to work at individual level. So that's another important dimension, and for instance, we will participate in the Agricultural Economics Congress that will be in end of August, and we are proposing a dedicated session on FSDN. Then, I mean, on the analysis, I don't expand a lot because the presentation later will give you the concrete examples. But what is important is that we are working at farm level, so that's a key concept to keep in mind, because we saw that during the whole discussion, there was a lot of confusion with statistical information. So some statistical information are there already. We are kind of trying to link it as much as possible, but those data are always aggregated, are never available at farm level, while the strength of FSDN data is really to have it at farm level and to have a multidimensional analysis on the 3 dimensions of sustainability. So what is the way forward? We are building a tool, an IT tool, that work on the database that we have at EU level to provide feedback to farmers. So we don't like to call it benchmarking because we don't want to create confusion with the broader benchmarking, but in fact it is. It is a tool where the farmer can identify himself and compare to similar farms that are extracted from the database. So it is under construction, and we presented the first version during the Agri-Food Days, and now we will test it with some farmers to publish it on our website. That's a screenshot of the tool that we hope will be available in few weeks. And then we are also trying to communicate as much as possible. So we have a revamped web page for FADN FSDN that I invite you to visit because we put a new question and answer that is giving the basics, basic on the data collection. We are producing some communication material, including the leaflets that we use in the Agri-Food Days, because we had a stand there in the conference in December. And also we will participate to 2 fairs. We participated to the Grüne in Berlin, and David will go in the Salon de l'Agriculture in Paris in the end of this month. And then we are building on this conference that is still to be confirmed, but will be probably around September or October. So those are basically some links that we have on the web page, the leaflets you see. So the leaflet can be downloaded and printed very easily. And then you can also contact us for any further information. Thank you very much.